actor Jonah Hill is in the hot seat after his ex-girlfriend Sarah Brady shared screenshots of a text message exchange and accused him of emotional abuse while they were together. And of course, the internet is weighing in.
I don't know who needs to hear this today, but you're allowed to talk about what they did to you, and it doesn't matter how they feel about you talking about it, because if they wanted people to think they were nicer, they should have been nicer.
Some are defending Brady and some are defending Hill. In the leaked messages, the actor allegedly demanded that Brady stop posting sexy pictures, stop modeling, and so-called inappropriate friendships with other men and with some other women too. Hill allegedly called these his boundaries when it comes to being in romantic relationships, and it appears that he made it an ultimatum. The screenshots from the convo in 2021 go on to show sarcasm and belittlement. Some online are rushing to the actor's defense, while others say this is abuse and not what setting boundaries looks like at all. Joining us now to talk about these controversial texts is writer and celebrity expert Megan Ray. Megan, what was your initial reaction to these messages getting leaked and some of the so-called boundaries Jonah Hill was allegedly demanding from his ex?
Yeah, I was personally a little surprised at first because I think Jonah Hill's public-facing persona is very much like goofy, lovable, and also in tune with his emotions. You know, we saw his documentary Stutz released recently where he talks to his therapist. So I think the general assumption around him was that he's, a lovable guy. So I was surprised at first, but then, letting it marinate a little bit, I really think this is generally what we see happen when a likable celebrity gets publicly called out for their behavior, especially when that celebrity is very well liked. People rush to defend him, to vend them. And I think there's also a little bit of pressure for some other public figures, namely women, to come to the defense of these kinds of men, to not seem like the all men are bad person. So I think there's like an aspect of that as well, which is obviously very problematic.
What were some of the most concerning demands that stuck out to you in the texts?
Yeah, so I saw a really great infographic on Instagram by commentator Matt Bernstein, and he spoke a lot about how we have a really big misunderstanding of what boundaries are. And a lot of these boundaries that Jonah is talking about, namely not posting sexual photos, not surfing with men because his ex-partner is a surf instructor, not modeling, not taking modeling opportunities. These were all of what he calls boundaries, and I would call demands that he was asking of her. And basically what Matt Bernstein was saying was these are demands, they're not boundaries. And trying to control what your partner's wearing, how she conducts herself like on a professional level, they're not, they're ways of trying to control her, and they're not appropriate boundaries. I think the things he's asking for are an effort to control her out of insecurity, not an effort to request boundaries that make their relationship feel safer, which I think is the main goal of a boundary. I saw a great tweet that said, emotionally abusive and controlling men, they don't want submissive women, they want to take strong women down a peg. And I think that's, if you look back on all of the tweet or the text that he sent her, there's a lot of sarcasm, there's a lot of manipulation, there's a lot of gaslighting and mocking her feelings and profession.
Do you think it's possible in this day and age for big-name celebrities to have any kind of private life when exposing them is just a click of a button away on social media? And how should the release of personal information like private texts be handled?
Yeah, that's a big part of the conversation. I've even seen, a lot of people on Twitter, coming in defense of Sarah, but also saying, well, the text probably shouldn't have been leaked. I disagree with that. I think asking people to keep their abuse quiet is also a form of abuse, and we shouldn't be asking that of people. Otherwise it's like, who is she going to turn to? Who's going to support her? And I personally think people should know when their favorite celebrities or people close to them are engaging in that kind of behavior. And I don't think it's even just for celebrity. I think even the average everyday person should understand that what they put on the internet and what they, the way they conduct themselves with people, there's potential for that to kind of come back, especially if what you're engaging in is abusive behavior. And if you don't know it's abuse, then you should be educated on that.
Thanks so much for joining us, Megan.
Thanks for having me.